What's up, everybody? JK Ports and Travel here. I'm going to be talking about the BILT Palladium versus the Capital One Venture X. It's been kind of a spicy topic of late because the two cards are very similar. They're both two times on everything, which is kind of making everybody compare them to each other. There are some pros and cons to both of them. So let's just jump into it and start with the Capital One Venture X. So the Venture X is $395 annual fee, 10 times on hotels and rental cars booked in the travel portal, 5 times on flights and vacation rentals, and then 2 times on everything else. So pretty good card. If you use the portals too, you'll get more benefits. Same with like most other premium travel cards. New member offer basically stays the same throughout the year. 75K miles once you spend 4K in 3 months, which is pretty good. I mean, I know there was like another offer where you spend like 10K, which is kind of outrageous in 3 months for the amount of miles they would give you. I think it was like 100K. But travel benefits, you get a TSA and global entry credit that you can use, and then you get access to Capital One lounges and Priority Pass lounges. And then the annual benefits, you get 10K bonus miles on your anniversary, and then $300 annual credit to use through the Capital One travel portal. So I like this benefit. I like this card a lot. It's a pretty simple card. It's 2X and it's a Visa, so you can basically use it anywhere when you're traveling, which is important. $395, that's basically negated with that credit and the 10K miles that you get. Now, a lot of people will argue, well, Capital One, you kind of don't really use their miles as a primary thing. It's more of a supplemental, which I will agree with. I've used it mostly as a supplemental to American Express points. Mostly, I value American Express points a little more, so I want to use them less than Capital One. There's easier ability to stack American Express points, in my opinion, especially since I have a American Express Gold, Platinum, and a Blue Business Plus, so I'm able to use it pretty easily. And a lot of people will probably be like, well, why do I have a Blue Business Plus and a Venture X? Well, the Venture X, I always find a way to use that travel credit for the full $300. Something I didn't realize, and it is something they added within the past year or so, is they have these TripAdvisor activities where the searchability is not as good as TripAdvisor, but basically if the activity is on TripAdvisor, you should be able to book it through the Capital One portal and use your credit on that, which I think is like phenomenal. When you go traveling, you're going to not do everything on your own. You're going to maybe want to do a TripAdvisor thing to where it like takes the planning and the stress, and usually the stress off you. And usually I do it if it's like I want to go between multiple cities. I see the total benefit there because I don't have to worry about figuring out buses. I don't have to worry about timings and stuff like that. It's like somebody's telling me this is where we need to be, this is where we're going to go. You're going to see all the things, and it's laid out very like simply, and I enjoy that. So I don't also only use it for that. I do primarily before TripAdvisor, and I noticed that stuff being added in the portal. I used it for flights, and I was always able to figure out, hey, I'm going to go back to visit my parents for Thanksgiving or Christmas. Boom. There's the credit. I can use it there. And a lot of people will be like, well, that's not really a great use of your credit, but it's something I am going to incur, and I can wipe it away. So I always evaluate it at $300. And then the 10,000 miles, I always feel like I get over like a cent per point and 1.5 cents very easily, especially if I'm booking like primarily British Airways type flights. Excuse me. And usually I'll just supplement it with whatever point I'm throwing on top of it. It can be MX, it can be City. I always will find something that I can use less of those points and more Capital One, because I'm getting this 10K and I might have another stash of these points. So I always feel like, now it's never going to be a negative annual fee. I don't like that term because you're going to be paying this $395, which is a pretty hefty chunk that you're paying randomly whenever your anniversary date is up front, and then you get the benefits, but you have to have that $400 to fork over in order to be able to use this card anyway. Um, so I think that's very important too to point out is you'll get value back, but you still have to fork over the money first. Um, Now another thing I really like is the Capital One lounges. I live in the Dallas area, so I have very good access to a Capital One lounge, and it's a lounge I like a lot. Usually, if I have an international flight, which I try to take international trips at least twice a year, um, I'll go to that lounge. That's the lounge I like, and it's very interesting because in the international terminal where it is, you have the Capital One lounge, you have an Admiral's lounge, you have that higher tier American Airlines lounge, you have a Centurion lounge, and I think you also have a Chase lounge is going to be coming soon. That's like a rumor, so it's. And there's a priority pass lounge, which is horrible. But like, just do if you're in DFW and flying out of terminal, do not go to that priority pass lounge. It is very small. The wait time is very long. Like I signed up for the Capital One Lounge wait lounge, then went there, and the Capital One wait list was like boom. And then just for some fun, I left the priority pass, left my name on the wait list. I'm not even joking when I was saying I was in the Capital One Lounge for over an hour before I finally got, they were like, hey, you can come into the Priority Pass Lounge. And I was like, why would I go there? I already saw the place. I know I like the Capital One Lounge better. It's just the lounge I prefer to go to. I haven't tried out the Centurion Lounge in DFW, but the line is very long, even compared to the Venture Lounge. Capital One's, the ambiance is nice, the bathrooms are nice. The food I think is just nicer overall too. It's like it's not gonna be the standard stuff you get. Like I've been in an Admiral's Lounge, I've been in a Centurion Lounge, I've been in a Priority Pass Lounge internationally, which are better than the ones here in America. I just prefer the Capital One Lounge overall as a whole, and like it's just a good size where it's like it's also there's not a lot of people. That's something I've noticed in Centurion lounges I've been in, is they're pretty huge, which is like, man, there's like a lot of people in here. But the Capital One Lounge is slightly smaller, to where it's like, oh, this is kind of like an exclusive area type feel thing. And they also have lockers, which is pretty nice. So it's like you can put your bags away and then not have to worry about, oh, my bags are going to be left unattended, because I usually fly solo by myself. So that's like a concern to me. Now, like, nobody's going to really steal your bag, but I mean, it doesn't hurt to be careful, to be honest. But yeah, that's the Venture X, just going into details of that. And now let's talk about the BILT Palladium. So here it is, 50K sign-up bonus and BILT points and gold status. That's important that that's a sign-up bonus after 4K and spending 3 months. Weird how it's the same. It's kind of strange. $300 in BILT cash immediately. That's pretty clutch. And then you also get $200 in BILT cash. So if you sign up for the BILT Palladium, you immediately get $500 in BILT cash. Very good, very useful. You get access to the Priority Pass Lounge, $200 hotel credits that split semi-annually, and then you also have to stay for at least 2 nights. The pretty good card. I mean, you also get 4% BILT cash back, or the 1.25 on your housing payment. I think this card is also good, and I like it too. I like it a lot, and as somebody who is not gonna get, like, who can't math this down very well, like the $200 hotel credit, it's gonna be tough for me to use, to say at least. I do barely stay in places for 4 nights. Now, what was good is this year I am going somewhere where I hadn't booked the hotel yet, and I'm gonna be there for 4 nights. So I was able to I'm gonna basically split it up 2 and 2, and hope I don't get shafted on the back end, because it'll be very close to when I need to go. That in July will be close to that date, so I'm hoping the price doesn't go up as much, because I'm gonna be like, oh, I have to do this. I have to bite the bullet. But yeah, so just going through here first let's start with BILT Cash. So they feature some useful credits. The Lyft one, useless. This is a credit that expires after each month. very useless unless you know for a fact you are going into a Lyft. The thing with Lyft that I don't like, even though, when you book one of these Lyft or Uber, you have to price compare. So I will take Lyfts, I will take Ubers. I'm not loyal to either one. The problem with Lyft, though, and having a Lyft credit is you only can get rides in Lyft. Uber, you can get Uber Eats, you can get groceries, you can do a courier service, you can get a ride, you get a lot of different things. You can use your Uber credits too. It's very easy. But this credit, just being mindful, it expires after the month. So if I redeemed it now, I have until February 28th to use it. Sucks. Technically yeah, it expires after February 28th. But then you have a hotel travel credit, which I think is good if you're going to stack it with that 200 so you get even bigger benefit. It also expires the same month you redeem it. I'm pretty sure, so just keep that in mind. This won't really get much utility out of this. These classes are very expensive. $40 is not going to cover it. I think most of these classes are like $100, $200. So it's like, hey, you get $40 off if that's your thing. But if it's your thing, you probably have a membership. So Walgreens credit, haven't tested this. I want to test it. It seems like they load $10 as a gift card. At least that's what the phrasing is. As you see, it's like you find it in your Walgreens gift card in the gift card tab. So it seems like it's a credit and they don't have the same wording as Lyft. As you see here, Lyft says end of calendar month, but Walgreens doesn't. So it seems like Walgreens, you can kind of load up $10 each month and get $120 on Walgreens gift card credit. It's useful to people who probably go and use Walgreens as like their main pharmacy. And if you have like a bunch of prescriptions, it will probably be useful. But do be careful. Usually if you get a gift card for a place and you try to buy another gift card, places aren't going to let you, do that. That's not going to work. So if you're going and buying some candy or a card or prescriptions, it will be useful then, but not for gift cards. So there's no like type of thing, because it's like most places just don't let you do it. Don't know for 100% certainty. This is a joke. This BILT home delivery $5 credit. I mean, you're not gonna, that $5 is basically not gonna be useful at all. This is a meme right here. The BILT collection credit. I mean, I don't even know who's gonna use this. I think the two ones that are gonna be more useful that people use for BILT Cash are the point accelerator and the housing payment. I kind of don't know why I didn't have the point accelerator on. I think I just, from the beginning, as I didn't know exactly what it was going to do, I thought it was going to be, hey, this is, if you don't get 5,000 points in 1 month, too bad, we're going to turn off the accelerator. No, it looks like, hey, you have until the end of the year to hit this $5,000, and you can still trigger this point accelerator again in the future. It's just, you have to hit another $5,000, which is great. And I also do like that it is telling me, hey, this is how many more dollars you have left to spend on this accelerator. But it's great. It basically turns your card into a 3x card of BILT points, which BILT points are valuable. I'm not going to deny that. BILT has way better transfer partners for definitely sure compared to Capital One. Having Hyatt, having Hyatt, Marriott, Hilton, IHG, and then you have United, which is a domestic airline, which Capital One does not have a domestic airline. And then you have JAL for both, but BILT is 1-to-1, not 750 to 1, which is ridiculous. But I mostly also like BILT because of Alaska. I think where I'm going to use this the most is Alaska and Hyatt. Now the thing is, Hyatt, I've never stayed in a Hyatt. I would like to try it now with this because BILT is giving me a good way to get Hyatt points. I don't really have Chase cards. That's why I've never really stayed at Hyatt's. So I think it's very valuable to spend $200 of your BILT cash to get this point accelerator. It does not hurt at all, especially since you get $200 every year with your BILT Palladium. Now, would you want to unlock save that BILT cash and use it for the housing payment. That's going to be something you have to weigh. It's definitely something in the first year is you're going to be able to do both because you start with $500 in BILT cash. So you can use it however you want to like figure that out. But yeah, it's definitely these two are going to be the big clutch ones. And the good thing is with the point accelerator is you can use it on the obsidian and the palladium, which I think is really helpful because then you can kind of, for the obsidian, you can kind of make this like an Amex Gold competitor, but for $95 a month, which I think is really, really big to people who have an obsidian. And definitely something I might consider if I get rid of the gold. The problem is with the gold, I use those credits and I like using the credits. But here's an important thing is you see the accelerator is working. It will say this additional 1 times and then it will say 2 times and stuff like that. Now also a big clutch thing is some of these were pending before I activated the point accelerator, and then I activated it. These posted and it gave me the accelerator credit, which is kind of an interesting thing. Like if you're like, oh damn, I didn't activate this in time. Well, if the charge was pending and then posts after you did the accelerator redemption, you're good. Another thing to look at here is the travel credit. I did use the portal. I talked about that in another video, my very first video, and it does tell you, hey, you got the travel credit. Now, if I went into my balance, it hasn't taken the $200 off yet, which is interesting to me. It is reassuring though to know that, hey, the $200 credit, you got it. We're telling you, you got it. Don't worry about it. I wonder when they're gonna really take it off. It might have to be something to do with their back end. Because Amex, they'll do the same thing. They'll be like, hey, you earned this credit, but it'll take like a day or so before the credit actually posts onto like your card balance. So it's gonna be interesting to see like when this posts. But I did also want to talk about like Capital One being useful in another way, and it's their Capital One shopping offers. Now, as you see here in the 2 highlighted sections, these TripAdvisor ones, how I've talked about, hey, I go on TripAdvisor and I book activities. Well, here it is right here. This one was a 30 times offer, and this was a 20K times offer. Now, I did these 2 differently. The bottom one I did using the Venture X, and the top one I did using a non-Venture X card. So you can use these Capital One travel bonus offers to get miles to your Venture X account. Now, the thing is you probably have to have a Venture X account in order to get Venture miles instead of cash. I think that's a given. Usually when you go into the travel portal, it will show you a card and it will be like, hey, you're earning miles you're earning in this currency type thing. So it is possible that's another utility to the Venture X is, hey, you can get a ton of miles. And I really like these offers. I like Amex offers too, but Amex offers are more taking dollars off than getting points in a lot of cases, at least the ones that are useful. And I think, this is a huge way of earning miles. 30 times on TripAdvisor is big. I mean, that's easily better than anything Rakuten puts up. I think the biggest offer Rakuten put up for TripAdvisor maybe 15 times that I've seen, or 15% back depending on like what you're getting back in Rakuten. But yeah, it's just something to consider too. Is Capital One's shopping miles, and if you have a Venture X, you can get it in Capital One miles, which is definitely more you get more utility out of that than cash. So yeah, I want to hear what you guys think. Which card are you going to use, Venture X or BILT Palladium? Which one's better? Put it down in the comments. And if you like the video, like and subscribe. And yeah, take care. Bye.